Hello students, welcome to today. Welcome to today's math lesson. Hope things are going well for you. With these videos, as always, you can skip ahead, pause, go back, try again, look at it multiple times, skip what you know. Hopefully today will be meaningful for you. Today we're going to spend some more time on fractions and the equal sign. And today we're going to be doing it with proportions. And what's a proportion? You've heard about portions before. Proportions, well, we'll get into it here. So just going to learn a couple new things today. I have some notes for you to write down. Here we go. Proportions. What are proportions? And then in just a minute, how do you solve proportions? Proportions. What are they and how to solve them? So that's the work of today. I first want you to spend a couple minutes researching for yourself, doing a research project. Going onto the internet and typing in your favorite search, type in proportion or what is a proportion. Write a couple notes down. And then how do you solve proportions? Write some notes down. Here's why I'm wanting you to do this. Up here, if I can do this right. When you teach others, let's help me kind of do this backwards. Nope, wrong way. When you teach others how to do something, you learn it so much more. Well, if you teach yourself how to do it, you'll really understand it even better than what I'm going to tell you. So please take 5 minutes on a research project, and here's a research project. Research what are proportions, and take some notes. And then after you've done that, write down proportions, how do you solve them, and take some notes. So spend a couple minutes on the internet doing that, and then come back. I'll still be here, but hit pause at this time. Do about 5 minutes of research, and then we'll talk. All right. Hopefully you've learned something. Hopefully you've got something more written down than what I've got written down. Let's get in. Let's see how what I say compares with what the internet says. A proportion. So my way of saying it is that a proportion is simply two fractions that are equal to each other. So 1/2 and 4/8. That is a proportion right there, because it's two fractions that are equal to each other. So whatever you wrote is good. Whatever you found on the internet, your research is right. Don't think you have to erase what you wrote and write what I'm writing, but it's two equal fractions. That's what a proportion is. 1/4 or 1/2 and 4/8. 1/4 and let's say 25 hundredths. And once you get good at math, if you're able to memorize some of these proportions, you'll be doing really good. 2/3. If you can understand that that's the same thing as 66 over 99, you're doing great. Or if 8/10, if you know that that's the same thing as 81 hundredths, you're doing perfect. It's really just a matter of taking any fraction, whatever fraction you want, 3/5, and you can multiply both of those numbers by a number. Let's say you multiply them both by 12, 36 over 60. Or let's say you multiply them both by 18. I have no idea what that is. I know that's 90. 18 times 3 on your calculator, I think it's 54. So it's really just two fractions that are equal to each other. And you can find that just by multiplying each of the numbers in the fraction by another one to get a different set of numbers that means the exact same thing. Two equal fractions. Let me show you. When the fractions are equal, when that's equal, look at this. 1 times 8 is equal to 2 times 4. And look at this. 4 times 25 is equal to 1 times 100. We call that cross multiplying. 2 99s, that's 198. That's the same thing as 3 66s. That's 198 as well. When you have proportions, a proportion, the cross multiplication is equal. 8 times 100 is the exact same thing as 10 times 80. Multiplying the denominator of one with the numerator of another one. Just back and forth. 5/36 is 180, and 3/60ths, 3 times 60, 3 and 3/60s is 180 as well. So just one way to check and understand and see the proportions. When you have a proportion, you cross multiply, they're the same thing. How do you solve proportions? One thing that the state of Utah wants you to understand about proportions is, let's say that you've got x over 8 equals, and I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I'm just kind of making this up on the spot. I shouldn't do that. Let's say you've got that proportion. That proportion exists. We just don't know what that number above the 8 is. Just choose your favorite variable. And there's a number there. We just don't know what it is. We put a question mark there. We put a variable there. Well, what is that? How do you solve that proportion? Or what about this proportion right here? 1 over j is the same as 3/18. Or what if you have 8/12 is the same thing as 20 over m. How do you solve proportions? Well, if the internet told you and if you found a procedure, great and wonderful. I'm going to show you a couple procedures, and you can find the one you like the best. One way to solve it, if it'll work, is you know that they're equal. So if 8 was multiplied by something to get to 40, this is from our equivalent fractions from before. 8 times something is 40. What is that 8 times something? 8 times 5. And if you're not sure, you can use your calculator and you figure out, well, what was that? Well, if I've got 40 divided by 8, what does that give me? What did I multiply that by? Oh, I multiplied it by 5. So then whatever you multiply x times the 5 to get 10. So what times 5 is 10? Or 10 divided by the 5, what is it? What does that give me? And that gives me that x is 2. So if I multiplied 8 times 5, then I multiplied this number by 5 to get the 10. That's one way to work it out. Is what did you multiply by? Or go in the opposite way, what did you divide by? So to get to that number, let's see, it's 40 divided by 5. So I divide the 10 by 5. Whichever of those two ways makes most sense. That's one way to solve proportions. So using that way, let's see, to get from 3 to 1, if you do it this way, 1, oh, that's times 3. But to go the other way, so from get to 3 to 1, I divided by 3. So then I just take the 18 and divide it by 3 as well. Or what number times 3 is 18? Either way, you get that j equals 6. And then right here, 8 times what is 20? Oh, now we're getting into decimals. We can do that. That works. It's a way to, 8 times something is 20. We don't know what it is, but if you go the backwards, like we talked about, 20 divided by 8, you can undo it as we've learned. 20 divided by 8, you'll end up getting a number. That's one way to solve it. But let me show you the other way to solve proportions. I already told you that these two are equal, right? They're equal here. So 8 times 10, so we know that 80 is equal to these two times together, 40 times x. And then it's just one of our simple little one-step equations that we did before. Divide both sides by 40, x is 2. Either way, you're going to get the same number. Either way, this cross multiplication way and turning it into an equation with no fractions is the other way. So if I did that here, j times 3, so there's j times the 3. They like to put the coefficient, the number, first. And 1 times 18 is 18. So it's just a simple equation, divided by 3. So j is 6. And if we use that process here, then we know that 12 times 20, and you can use a calculator if you need, you've got 240 equals 8m. 8m. Again, it's just one of those simple equations. We've got 8 and 8. So m equals, and on your calculator, 240 divided by 8. If you type that in, you'll get 30. Now that I've shown you that this cross multiplication works, we can work out this problem the first way I showed you. So it's 2 times 5. So 8 times 2.5 gave us 20. So then multiply 12 times 2.5. And when you multiply the 12 times 2.5, you're at 30. So the m is 30. The m is 30. Either way, you'll get the same number. So proportions and what are they and how to solve them. These are just a couple quick examples. The assignment will have things like decimals, and it'll make it a little harder, but the process is always the same. You can cross multiply them and set them equal to each other and solve the equation. Or if it's easy and you can do it in your head, 8 times what is 40? Oh, 5. So multiply the top number by 5 as well. And the same thing if you reduce it, if you go backwards in reducing. This one came up again with a whole number. I could do some more examples, but I've got a lot of examples on your assignment you can work through. Again, there's a lot of information available on the internet with this concept because it gets used so much in daily life. I hope it's made a little bit of sense. Have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching.